No one entered the throne chamber of Carithes Prime without first understanding two things. First, every word spoken there could change the fate of worlds. Second, the woman seated upon the black crystal throne was feared across half the galaxy. Queen Valara Threx had ruled the Threx Dominion for 12 years, and during that time 3 rebellions had ended, 7 border systems had surrendered, and every neighboring government had learned that mercy was not the first language of her court. Humans usually discussed her name carefully. Some called her Ruthless. Others called her efficient. A few military officers simply called her unavoidable. That was why Elias Marin, civilian envoy from the outer human colonies, stood in her throne chamber, trying very hard not to look nervous. He had crossed 6 systems carrying a trade proposal nobody expected to succeed. The human colonies needed safe corridor access through Dominion-controlled space. The Dominion wanted mineral rights and strict navigation oversight. Negotiations had already failed twice under previous envoys. Now Elias, chosen mostly because he understood alien protocol and remained calm under pressure, had become humanity's least celebrated final attempt. The throne chamber was larger than any official document had described. Black polished stones stretched like still water beneath towering silver pillars. Suspended lights floated overhead like captured stars, casting pale reflections across armored guards lined motionless along the walls. At the center, elevated above everyone else, Queen Valara watched him with eyes the color of dark amber glass. She wore no ceremonial softness, only dark armor woven into royal design, a crown of thin black metallic arcs resting above silver hair. Everything about her suggested command before beauty. And yet there was no denying she carried both. "You speak for human frontier sectors," she said, voice level enough to silence the chamber instantly. "I do, Your Majesty. And your governments believe I will reduce corridor tariffs because they ask politely?" "Because long-term trade benefits both sides," Elias answered carefully. A faint movement touched one corner of her mouth. Not amusement, not approval, simply acknowledgement that he had chosen courage over flattery. Around him, nobles observed like predators evaluating whether prey understood danger. The court expected weakness eventually. Most envoys gave it. Elias unfolded his data slate calmly. He explained freight projections, security cooperation, and anti-piracy patrol sharing. He answered interruptions from ministers without raising his voice. Queen Valara listened with unreadable patience. Then the chamber doors opened. It happened so quietly many noticed only when small footsteps crossed the polished floor. A child entered. No announcement. No guard interference, which alone told Elias this child existed outside ordinary protocol. She could not have been older than 6 by human measure. Silver hair, like the queen's but softer, fell loosely over dark formal clothing too elegant for her age. Her eyes were brighter than Valara's, gold touched with pale light. Princess Valara Threx, the queen's daughter. The chamber changed instantly. Several nobles lowered their heads. Even guards shifted attention. Because apparently the princess did not usually enter active negotiations. Elias assumed attendants would retrieve her. No one moved. The child looked around the room once. At ministers. At generals. At nobles. Then she walked straight past all of them. Past the throne. Past the nearest royal advisors. Past 3 empty ceremonial seats. And directly toward Elias. The chamber grew so quiet he could hear fabric move. She stopped beside him. Looked up. Then, with total certainty, sat down on the step beside where he stood. Not near him. Beside him. As though that had always been the intended place. No one breathed. A senior minister visibly froze. One guard almost broke posture. Elias looked toward the queen, unsure whether movement itself had become illegal. Queen Valara's expression changed for the first time. Not anger. Shock. Small, but unmistakable. Because apparently her daughter did not do unexpected things lightly. Lasara, the queen said. The child did not move. Instead, she looked at Elias's data slate. What is that symbol? She asked, pointing to a shipping route marker. The question, delivered naturally in the middle of interstellar negotiation, felt surreal. Elias answered because silence seemed worse. A cargo route between human stations. She nodded as if this justified sitting there, then leaned lightly against the stair beside him. The chamber remained suspended in disbelief. Queen Valara studied both of them carefully. Continue, she said at last. No one in the room understood whether that instruction addressed Elias, the negotiation, or fate itself. He continued, and somehow explained corridor economics while a royal child sat beside him drawing invisible patterns on polished stone. By the time formal session ended, the palace had acquired a new mystery. Why had the princess ignored every protocol boundary and chosen the human envoy? Elias himself had no answer. He had barely finished bowing when two royal attendants approached. Her Majesty requests your presence at evening meal. That was not normal diplomatic procedure. That was examination. Or warning. Possibly both. The private dining chamber contained only 4 people. Queen Valara, Princess Lasara, one silent attendant, and Elias. The room overlooked dark city lights stretching beyond palace towers. No ministers, no generals, no court audience, which somehow felt more dangerous. Lasara sat across from him now, swinging her feet slightly beneath the chair while examining a small floating light sculpture. Queen Valara spoke without touching her meal. My daughter does not approach strangers. Elias chose honesty. I notice that people seem surprised. She dislikes crowded attention. Lasara interrupted quietly. He did not look afraid. The queen's eyes shifted to him. Most likely many envoys had looked terrified. He had felt terrified. He had simply learned not to display it. I've negotiated with military governors before, he said. That is not the same as speaking before my court, Valara replied. No, your majesty. A pause. Then Lasara spoke again. He talks like stories do. This confused Elias. The queen apparently understood. She listens to archived human recordings, Valara said. Old exploration journals. Calm voices interest her. Lasara pointed lightly toward him. His voice sounds similar. Now the mystery made sense. Not political instinct. Recognition of tone. Something familiar in cadence. The queen leaned back slightly, studying him with sharper attention now. So my daughter sat beside the human, because he sounded safe. Safe. That word did something strange to the room, because it clearly mattered. Especially here. Especially from this child. Over the next 2 days, negotiations continued. Unexpectedly, Lasara appeared again. Not during every session, but often enough that no one could dismiss it. She never interrupted serious points. Mostly she listened. Sometimes asked strange, but direct questions. Why do humans build cities near storms? Why do ships have names? Why do maps change colors? And each time Elias answered simply. Court nobles watched with visible discomfort. Because each answer drew more attention from the princess than most ministers had earned in months. Lord Taravmol, chief domestic advisor, eventually approached Elias privately. You should understand this creates interpretation. I'm answering a child's questions. A royal child. I did not invite her. No, Tarav said quietly. That concerns many people. The warning was polite, but real. In courts like this, affection and trust had political weight. even accidental trust. Especially accidental trust. That evening, Elias found Lasara alone in one of the upper observation corridors, staring at ships moving between towers. No guards close enough to hear. "You escaped protocol again?" he asked lightly. She looked up. "They know where I am." "Your mother allows this?" "She allows what she can see." That sounded older than her years. He stood beside the glass. The city below glowed black and silver. After a moment she asked, "Why did you not bow lower than others?" He blinked. "I bowed correctly. Others bow more when afraid." He smiled slightly. "I was trying not to drop my data slate." That earned a small laugh. Then she asked the real question. "Are humans always calm when powerful people look angry?" "No," Elias said. "Most just pretend well." She considered this carefully. Then, "Mother frightens people." "Yes." "She frightens worlds." "Yes." "Does she frighten you?" He answered after a pause. "Less than she probably should." For some reason, that answer pleased her. The final negotiation day arrived with full court attendance. Every major advisor present. Trade terms prepared. Human corridor access balanced against Dominion inspections. It should have been straightforward. Instead, Lord Terra formally challenged a clause and accused human colonies of seeking gradual military advantage. The chamber sharpened instantly. Several ministers joined. Voices rose. Elias defended terms calmly, but pressure mounted fast. Then, Terra said the wrong thing. Humans request trust they have not earned. Before Elias could answer, a smaller voice cut through the hall. "That is false." Every head turned. Lasara had stood from beside the secondary throne platform. No one interrupted her, not even the queen. The child looked directly at Terav. He answers clearly. He does not hide words. Terav bowed awkwardly. "Princess, matters of state. You told me state depends on truth." The chamber became painfully still, because contradicting her now risked contradicting prior teachings. And because the queen still had not intervened. Lasara turned toward her mother. "He speaks truth more than most adults here." That statement nearly ended 3 careers on expression alone. Then Queen Valara finally rose. Slowly. When she stood, even sound itself seemed to withdraw. She descended 1 step from the throne, looked first at her daughter, then at Elias, then at the court. "My daughter rarely offers trust." No one moved. When she does, I observe carefully why. Her gaze settled on Lord Terav. "Fear is not evidence, nor is suspicion policy." Terav lowered his head instantly. Then Valara spoke the sentence every diplomat in the chamber would remember for decades. "The corridor agreement stands." Shock spread visibly. Human access approved. Because somewhere between negotiation clauses and a child choosing where to sit, the impossible had happened. Later that night, before departure, Elias was summoned once more, this time to the same private chamber overlooking the city. Queen Valara stood alone. No attendants. No crown now, only dark formal robes. "You understand what happened today was unusual." "I do." She trusts almost no one beyond 3 palace names. Elias looked toward the city lights. "She just asked questions." "She chose proximity first," Valara said. "That matters more." The queen's tone softened, not warm, but less armored. After her father died, she avoided nearly everyone unfamiliar. That explained much. The silence. The caution. Why safe mattered. Why voice mattered. She listened to old recordings because voices remained predictable. Valara continued. "Today she spoke publicly because she judged your honesty worth defending." Elias did not know what answer fit that. So he said the only true thing. "She's brave." For the first time, Queen Valara's expression changed into something almost private. Yes, she said quietly. More than most realize. A pause followed. Then, you entered believing I was merciless. He did not deny it. That reputation exists for reasons, she said. I assumed so. But ruthless rule and careless motherhood are not the same. Now he understood the deeper truth. Everything the galaxy called merciless had still paused when her daughter crossed the throne room floor. Still watched in surprise. Still protected without interruption. Before leaving, he asked one final question. Why did you not stop her that first day? The queen looked toward distant palace corridors. Because she had not chosen a stranger in 2 years. Departure morning came beneath dark silver clouds over Carithes Prime. Diplomatic ships prepared for launch. Cargo approvals finalized. Human trade corridor history rewritten. As Elias reached boarding steps, small footsteps approached behind him. Lasara again. This time carrying a tiny crystal object shaped like a star route marker.
For your ship, she said.
So, you remember correct corridor colors. He accepted it carefully. Thank you, Princess. She frowned slightly. Next time, sit sooner. During negotiations?
Yes.
Standing makes everyone nervous. He laughed. Behind her, at palace height above the platform, Queen Valara watched from a distant balcony, still, unreadable, but present. Elias looked once toward the queen, then back to Lasara. I'll remember that. As the shuttle rose, he saw mother and daughter together at the balcony now, small against black palace stone. The ruthless queen feared by systems. And the child who had crossed an entire throne chamber simply because one human voice sounded safe. In the end, treaties had not begun with arguments, tariffs, or politics. They had begun when the queen's daughter walked past everyone else and chose a seat beside a human.